Hey, YouTube family, how you guys doing this evening? So I just completed my session on how a single family resident investor can build massively far more wealth than a uh, investor who has a 20 unit whatever 20 unit storage unit, 20 unit apartment complex, 20 unit uh, uh, office. It doesn't matter. A single family resident investor can build. Matter of fact, the case design that we had used, the real estate, the 20 unit real estate investor had a cash reserve of about $250,000 versus the single family resident. They had a cash reserve of over $12 million. Now, the property value estimated after 30 years was 1.2 million versus for the 20 unit it was 4.3 million or something like that. So obviously the uh, the 20 unit investor won that race, but in terms of building cash reserve, the single family resident investor not only build a cash reserve of millions of dollars more. They did that with the same budget they used to actually buy the single family resident. What is the point that we're making here? All math is not created equal, and the traditional investor is taught how to be dependent upon the bank, regardless if the investor is scaling or if the investor is doing fix or flips, or it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter the strategy. Investors are taught how to be dependent upon the bank, and the majority of their cash flow is going to who? Is going to the bank. And so, what the traditional real estate investor is taught is they try to offset that with the number of doors. Well, the problem with that ideology is that the bank proves uh, in every case where they provide a mortgage that the bank is making more money than the investor. So here's a question for you investors. If the bank continues to demonstrate, regardless of the number of units that you are buying, the number of properties that you're buying, that they're making more money than you, then why are we not following the principles and systems of the bank? We showed in our case design. If you like to have a link to the class, just put link in the comments, and I'll send that out to you, and free of charge. But in the case design, we were talking about the power of how the bank thinks and how the bank uses algorithms and systems and very smart people to design amortization tables. But the investor doesn't utilize that same philosophy, that same type of system to pay its bills. So automatically, the investor is at a huge disadvantage because they're not utilizing technology the way the bank is. And as a result of that, the investor is trying to find the right tenant, put the right tenant in, and then hopefully the tenant can continue to uh, be able to withstand annual rent increases and the pressures of that, along with higher gas prices. And the investor is thinking to himself, the traditional investor is thinking to himself, how do I maximize my cash flow if I can't leverage the tenant? And that is the problem that the traditional investor has. They are one dimensional. And being one dimensional, they're missing out on several different factors or key components to building wealth utilizing real estate. And that's where the 10 miracles of money come in, where the bank uses the 10 miracles of money to build its wealth. while the investor is putting all of their pressure and all of their hope on the tenant. And the poor tenant can only accept so many rent increases with all the other financial pressures that are being put on them in today's economy. So if you wanted more information on how do you become a 21st century real estate investor, where you're learning how to pay off a property in as little as 7 years without extra payments, where you're learning how to double property equity value separate from a property appreciation, without market losses and without taxes. If you want to learn how to double your cash reserves without market losses or taxes, and you want to learn how to create more cash flow and double cash flow on demand without the need of the tenant, then we need to talk. Just put a link in the chat and I'll send that out to you. And maybe we can have a 15-minute conversation on how this strategy can work for you. So my single family residents, investors out there, hey, reach out to me. Let's talk. I'm going to show you how to make more money than the investor who has 20 doors, right? And far more debt than you have and more tenants than you have, but you're going to make more money than those guys. So let's talk about it. All right. Take care. Look forward to seeing you soon.